been getting on with a couple of jobs over yesterday and today. So went down the plot yesterday morning, and it's still very, very wet, so it's not really ready to plant. I was fully intending to plant on the 20th, which is today, but went down yesterday morning, and yeah, it's still very wet. The beds, they're not far off. Another day or two, especially if the weather stays fine like this. But I just need to go down to make sure all my nets are fully functioning. There's no holes. There's a couple of bits I've got to patch up. You know, I just need to take some fishing twine down and just tie a couple of little holes up. But they're all the nets are down. You know, so it's just a case of taking the plants across and planting them now. That was what I wanted. I didn't want to plant things and then think, oh God, my nets have got holes in. So I thought, well, I can plant and then protect straight away. But I came back and I planted the garden up, so there's a bit of footage from planting this out yesterday. It's pretty much the garden's completely planted up now, apart from that bed there, which has got that radicchio in. I need to start pulling that out now, and it's got quite a few aphids on it, but I can clean that up and tortoise can have it, and we'll have some as well. But yeah, so fully intending going up plot today, but it's not going to happen, so a couple more days I think, and then fingers crossed, no heavy downpours, and it gets a chance to actually drain away. I don't mind a bit of spitting rain, but it's just to get that water table down. The paths are just going to be sloppy anyway. It was like yesterday, it was like soup. So they have drained down a bit, but it's just stodgy mud everywhere, you know, and if I put my potatoes in, they'll just rot. So I need probably at least another week before I can deal with that. So we'll have a look at these jobs that I've done. So if you're new to the channel, welcome, and hit the subscribe button and like videos as well. You know, I hope you enjoy them. And if you want to donate to the channel to help support the channel in any way, links in the description below. So we shall have a look at some footage I've got. I'm going to plant this lettuce out now. So I've kind of pre-dibbed all the holes. They're all roughly about 9 inches apart in all directions. So they're kind of stagger planted. So I've got like 5 and then 4, 5, 4 and so on. It is quite a tight squeeze, but like I said, I'm not growing them for a full head. It's just going to be a cut and come again. So even if I don't need any, I'll have to make sure I pick it, otherwise they'll sort of swamp each other out a bit. The idea is you sort of like, once you get to sort of hand size, start picking the outer leaves. As you might be able to see, I don't know if they're in shot, but they're quite big already. I've been desperate to get them out. The plot's, you know, soaking wet, so I thought I'll come back here and I'll start planting, because I really do need to make some room in the polytunnel, because I need to sort my tomatoes out and everything. So it's pretty straightforward, really. I say I've dipped all these with an old spade handle, just sort of rounded off at the tip. Could do with really making more of a point to it, really, because it can compact the soil. So whether they're deep enough or not, I don't know. I've kind of guessed it with this cable tie around it. So we've got some little gems, some Grenoble red, some new red fire, some Lola Rossa, and Mazur. So not everything's going in this bed. I'll have to dot things about here and there, because I've not really made up a plan as such, because I'm going to be putting cabbages in this bed for a change. This always usually has lettuce in this, so but we'll get to that when we get to it. It's all likely to change along the way. What's these ones here? I think these are the new red fire. I can't see the label that crowded. But yeah, I think they're new red fire. I'll put them in first. Did these at first time last year, and they're all fine, you know. I mean, the Grenoble red used to get a bit more red, but the last couple of years it's kind of been quite green. So they're in 40 cell module trays. So how many of each I'm going to do, I'm not quite sure yet. I'll just keep going until the bed's full, really. As long as there's a bit of a mix, it should be okay. I'll probably come out in a week and anything, because some of the lower leaves will yellow off, and because some people do trim the lettuce down before they put it in. Ideally, they'd be, you know, probably just a little bit smaller than this. I don't like planting them out too small. But hopefully, you know, it's only a matter of, these will get some roots in pretty quick, and maybe 3 or 4 weeks start harvesting. Put them around here. Luckily, I don't tend to have any problems with the grubs and everything in the beds in the garden. not saying I never have, but not as much as down the allotment, hence why I grow a lot of the lettuce here. Lettuce can rock off a bit if it's a bit exposed in the wind, so it's kind of sheltered in this corner here, which is nice. You know, they're not dry, the beds aren't dry either, because it was supposed to be sunny all day today, so I went to the plot this morning to make sure my nets were all functional, getting ready for the big plant out, and it's still too wet. So I'm running out of time and space. You know, if I put things on again, I have to wait a couple of weeks for the roots to occupy that space then. So I can lean over and do this. Do another row of these, I think. The Lola Rossa are about 2 weeks younger than these. I can't remember the date I sowed these, but it's in the previous videos anyway, and I pricked them all out and everything. So they'll all splay out, and then some leaves will perk up and some will just, you know, die a death. Like these are getting yellow, so I'll come in there, get any pale ones off around the outside. Once I've had a couple of days in a slight breeze, they'll firm up, because they've not exactly been out to harden up, but they have been exposed to a bit of draft in the polytunnel, so it should be okay. Fingers crossed. I just need the slugs to leave them alone now. So I think that's all I'll do with them, I think. And then pop that down there out the window for now, put that in the compost heap after. Next I'll do some of the Lola Rossa, I think. Now I'm using these are 60 cell trays these were in. A bit smaller, but we shall see how we go. Just enough root. This is the sort of size I prefer to plant them out at, to be honest. You know, good root system on them. Not too big, I haven't done leggy or anything. But yeah, it's not been the best year for getting things started, to be honest. It's trying to get any sort of preparation work done. You know, April's a month to get your plot ready. This year, April's been spending a lot of time looking out the window thinking, how am I going to get that done? It won't be long, you see, and then they get the problems with it, like aphid attacks. I have seen a couple of ladybirds knocking around, which is a good sign. So I've got the Radicchio still in the ground, that's got aphids on it, so I need to get that out really. Should have enough for another row, I think. These are mainly for, you know, the family to eat, but Kane can eat all of these as well. The thing that Kane can't really eat is iceberg lettuce, because it's kind of like nothing in it nutritionally. Even though he has had the odd bit of it, won't do him any harm, it's just mainly water. You know, I used to grow a lot of like romaine, but end up growing like a gem type, kind of like winter density really, a bit more robust and hardy, which gives me a fair bit of room for the Grenoble Red. I'll grab hold of that now.
don't throw any lettuce away. If you've got any like spent compost knocking around and some 1 litre pots or 2 litre pots or buckets or anything, just fill it up with compost and plant them close together and just keep snipping away for baby leaves. Because it's been tricky trying to keep everything watered, because they dry out so quick when they're this size. You've only got a small amount of compost around them. Also drop the net down over them as well. It'll give them a bit of shelter from the wind. Also, I've got some leftovers then in case a slug gets under here and causes problems. Because they do like sort of hanging around in this corner down there. It's quite shaded. I'll try to put the lettuce down here, so it doesn't get blistering sunshine and scorching in the early season, but once it gets in the main season it's quite high up. This is the bed I did the Brussels sprouts in last year. Not sown any yet. I don't think I'm going to be doing any this year. I don't know. I'll have to see. Play that one by ear. Going to move like another 6 inches on my bed really, just to try and give these ones at the end a bit more room. Be fine, I'll just push against the net. And plant the other side up. It doesn't take long to plant up once everything's dibbed out and you kind of commit to it. I haven't got so many spare of these. Got 2 spare, so that kind of worked out okay. And if I lose any more than 2, I'll have to drop a different type in. So, I don't know how many's in there, 45 lettuce altogether in that bed. Give them a good water in, drop the net down, and then carry on with some other jobs. I planted some rocket at the end of this bed. I was sort of up in an hour and pondering, and I couldn't decide, so I just thought, right, put rocket in there, because rocket doesn't like loads of heat, so a bit of shade will do it actually handy. Just did them the same as the other ones, just dipped a hole. But these are the Golden Acre, the Primo 2, which I've always grown up at the allotment, but we're doing them here this year because I'm not doing the giant onions, so got a bit of space, so I thought I'll do some of these. I still got to put my spring greens and everything in yet, but so this is, for those who've never seen it before, this is called a bulb planter. You can use a trowel and dig a hole if you want. The idea is you push it in, you open it out, and it basically leaves a little hollow. Depending on what size pots your seedlings are in. So it's just quite simply, I'm planting these 15 inches apart, give them a bit of room, and then empty that out. Same way I do my garlic at the plot this. And I'll be doing brassicas at the plot the same way because everything's in the same sort of size pot as well. I'll just do these ones and then you'll get the idea. I've had this one for years. It does start bending and that, so I do need to sort of get a new one at some point. You know, and don't throw your soil away. You know, you can put it in a bag and or turn your empty compost bag inside out so it's black on the outside and stick it in there and seal the end up, and it'll kind of sort of sterilise it in the sunshine, and then you put it back on your bed at the end of the season. So I've got drinking straw. I don't really need the drinking straws round in the garden, but I'll leave one anyway. Now you want to put these obviously up to the first true leaves, and cabbages or any of the brassica family need a really good firming in. Not root bound, but there's plenty of roots. Push that in like that. Wrestle it down. Simple as that. You know, they just like to have a good root hold. It just helps them out a bit. And then just give them a really good watering and protect them from butterflies and of course the dreaded slug as well, because they love them. Right, I'm going to get Allotment's dropped back down now because I don't know if you can see that sky behind me. It's not looking very nice, so I think we're due it to chuck it down anytime soon. All over there as well. Oh well, says we're watering stuff in a bit more I guess, but just really do with this rain stopping, so I'll just take up top end and kind of look at everything that's planted now. So it is a big bit of pressure off now that at least I've got something in the ground growing. So I'll have a quick look. That's all the Grenoble Red, Lola Rosso and New Fire Red. Well, New Red Fire should I say at the end there, all planted in. Got the Golden Acre, the Primo 2 cabbage. I've got 12 of those. There's the rocket at the end of the bed. Hopefully they'll all stand up, and that one there's a bit washed in, so I might just tickle it out of the soil a little bit, but it should all stand up in a day or two. And we've got the Mazure with the gaps that I've left in between, so obviously there'll be a row going there and in between, so on. So I'll end up with like 4 rows of celery, so I'll be like 16 celery plants. I'll do them 4 by 4. And then we've got the Durham Early greens at the end there. So I'm just going to, instead of growing them, letting them get in bushy, I'm just going to get like a good sort of hand-sized green on it, and just pull the leaves off like that and see, it's just mainly for auto sweet really. But if I get any gaps come up, I'm going to pot the other ones on, I think, just in case I get a gap come up, I can put them in. I did plant some spuds in the tubs. In the end, I worked it out. I had some compost and I bought a couple of bags, real cheap stuff. We'll have a look at that at some other point. It seems alright. It just might dry out a bit, so I'll mix some topsoil with it just to help a little bit of sand. I think it's pretty much like 2 parts compost to 1 part topsoil. Pretty much like a couple of handfuls of sand shoved in it just to help. Hopefully that'll help it retain the water. So I've got Dukey Oaks in them, so there's 36 spuds in 9 tubs. So I just thought I'd get more spuds in that way, rather than planting them direct in the bed. And then I had them spring onions that were desperate to go out, so I thought, well, instead of wasting the space, I'll shove in front of these tubs, because they should be sort of like, by the time the spuds put any sort of shade or top growth heavy on them, I'll just harvest some small spring onions. So I'm going to sow some more spring onions to put up at the plot when it should be dry. This radicchio, I'm going to clear that bed. I'm going to take all the plants off, all the decent plants. I'm going to submerge in water for half an hour, get any aphids off, and then take a leaf off, and then have some in some salad, or Kane can eat them, because I'll keep in the fridge for ages. If I take the leaves off and do it that way. As I said, they've been in all winter. They're not going to heart up because it's just going to get too warm. That's a nice dense one. I don't know what it is like, but it's not as red as the other ones. I've put all my little gems in there. How many have we got in there? I think there's 20. Is it 20? No, 20, 24 in there. So I might put some more of them to, sow some more seeds in a couple of weeks. So that's how it's looking at the top end so far. So how much more is going to be added to this video, I'm not quite sure yet, but I've got more jobs to get on with. Let's take it down to the polytunnel for a quick look. So I mowed the grass and that the other day when we had a dry day. So these are all leftovers. I might just sort of split them and sort of put them back in the seed tray diagonal just to give them a bit more room. So this is the problem now. I need to get this down to the plot, this to get it in the ground, because it's going to start going that funny colour soon. That's just from the sort of lack of nutrients really, but I'll give him a bit of a feed. And then obviously garlic's desperate to go down as well. So there's all celery. The while off it before that'll be ready to plant out. Probably got it like 3 times that size before I'll put it out. Beetroot is a bit sorry. I might just find a little pot for that and shove them in. Well, no little pot. I've got a big pot out here actually. I might shove them in there and just sow some more for up at the plot. So I need to have a shufty around in here because I need to sort my tomatoes and peppers out. So whether that'll be in this video, I don't know. But we shall carry on and see what we can get done until the plot dries up. I put these tomatoes on now. I've done some already because I actually got all my tomato plants in the kitchen and looked at them and sort of selected the ones that I'm going to grow in the polytunnel. So there's 18 I'll be putting in the polytunnel. So a bit of a mix and match. I'm not doing the Roma in the polytunnel because they're a bit of a... They don't tend to, get any height on them. There's more of a determinate bush plant. So I might put a couple of them in pots on the doorstep at the front of the house because that's proper south facing that. So they'll probably do all right out there. I'm going to pop my peppers on at some point. I don't know whether I need to do them now. I've checked them. They're not root bound or anything like that. So I might leave them in the small pots for a little bit longer. So my tomato plants are in these sort of 7cm pots. I would normally already have them in these by now. They're 1 litre pots, and then I transfer them into 3 litre pots. I could just transfer them straight into there, but I'm not really looking for that more. I'm looking to just buy myself a little bit more time. So I'd rather put them into these pots, and then in about 10 days, 2 weeks, they'll have populated that with roots, then they can go in here. So the aim is with these is plant them pretty much down the bottom, so they're deeper, because part of the stem will put some roots out eventually. So some of you might know these are 3 litre pots. They're a 2-pot sort of system. In a pot, just a cheap flimsy pot. The bottom is cut off. Done it every year now for quite a number of years. So obviously once that's all populated with roots, I pull it off like that, so you end up with compost at the bottom full of roots, and I put that into my raised bed then. Just nestle it down up to, you can see like there's a bit of a muck line there, about 1 inch into the bed, and then the roots will populate down to the beds. So you end up with quite a deep root system really. The deeper the better. If you can, put them in pots this deep, keep planting them down each time, and you'll get a big deep root system on it. But as I say, this is going to be at a later date. This probably 2 weeks time, I should imagine, and then 2 weeks after that they'll go in the beds. So we're kind of looking at probably sort of mid to last week of May they'll go in the final place, which is a little bit later than I normally do it. Compost I'm using is a bit of Miracle Grow, and I've got some Levington multi-purpose and my own, and some vermiculite all thrown in, and probably about 10 litres of topsoil thrown in the mix as well, just to try and help the water retention a bit, because like I say, peat free, it's gone a bit I don't know, it's not great because it does dry out quite quick. So obviously adding some sort of sand, silver sand, or some sort of play sands, just helps retain water, because sharp sands like obviously a bigger sort of grain, and it's something to do with the molecules of silver sand and play sand. They will help retain a little bit of water as well as drain a little bit. But you don't want it to compact. But like I said, there's a lot of
fibrous stuff in this, which is great for aeration. Roots love it. Peppers will absolutely love anything chunky and fibrous. Peppers love it. But it's a bit of a, I'm hoping that these fibres will hold the root ball together and obviously help wick water up from the raised bed below. So I'll get some tomato plants. I'll just do a couple for now. What are these? These are Alicantes. So 2 Alicantes there. So you saw me prick them out in the last video, something like that. So they've been up in the attic. They're not root bound or anything, but there are roots on them. I thought I'll get them potted on and they can start this outside transition now. Obviously I've got to keep an eye on temperatures. I don't like letting them go down too low, put a fleece over them. And then on the warmer days, allow a breeze to pass across them. It's basically to thicken this trunk up so they get a right sturdy plant. Get my pot, just going to put a little bit of compost in the bottom just to cover the holes. Pat that down. I'm sort of going to offset this pot. So I'm going to push it right the way down, and it'll end up about 1 inch below the surface, the top of the pot. So you've got, these are the seed leaves, these. So I'm hoping to bury quite a bit of this stem, because you will end up with suckers or side shoots coming out from here most of the season. Just keep nipping them off. So it's a case of, the inner pot is obviously filled with compost. Just keep filling it each time, just fill it at once, and then it just acts like a bit of a template for it. Not pushing it down too hard. Do that, and then add a bit of sort of natural settling. That just speeds it up, really. If you water it, it'll settle down a bit more. Just scrape this excess off the top so I can get to the inner pot. And carefully pull the inner pot out, and you'll be left with a hole inside. That's all. And get your tomato plant. This is me own compost with vermiculite in that, so it's not root bound. It's miles away from being root bound. So I just thought, well, give them a bit more room and get them into the light. So just carefully drop it in, nestle it in. I'm going to sort of lift these leaves up. Not bothered about the seed leaves at the bottom because they're not really of any use anymore. That way then it kind of gives a plant the freedom to put some roots out. Again, settle it down like so. Give them a good water in from the top if you want, or just give them a good half an hour soak from the bottom so you see the compost darken off on top. I'm going to do all mine after, and just pop your label in. And that's it. Do one more. Some people will be, why don't you put it straight into the big pot? It's because I just don't have the room, because it's the 20th of April today, and I was fully intending on planting up a plot today, but it's still too wet. It's the worst year I've had it there for being wet so late. I was down there yesterday, and yeah, it's not good. It's not that when you put your potatoes in, or when I get round to it, because it's probably going to be like a week or 2 weeks off that. It is draining slowly, but I just need the rain to stay away for a few days. Some nice breeze to dry it off, and then I can get the beds planted up. Because obviously, probably out of shot now, but a lot of these broccoli, I've actually put them in some feed today to feed them. To not stress them out too much. Otherwise, they'll just start forming a head too soon, and I want the bigger plant. They'll only tolerate, a week at most, and then they'll end up being root bound, which I don't want. The handy thing is with this compost being quite twiggy, when I water it from the top for its initial water, that will sort of dry out and become like a bit of a capping. So when I come to tip it out to put it into the bigger pots, it shouldn't all fall out, because it will take a long time for that bit of stem to put roots out. It's just what tomatoes do. They just, you know, they'll put more stem. You know, the more stem you bury, they'll just keep putting roots out. You know, so if you get a really tall, leggy plant, don't worry about it. I've done it before now, where I've curled the stem round in the pot. Right, so I'll get on with the rest of these, and we shall have a look. All the tomatoes put into these 1 litre pots now. They're actually going to end up in the polytunnel. I've actually put 3 Roma in some pots as well. These are the Roma, so these are, well, they'll either end up in pots, or maybe in a little greenhouse down the bottom, or maybe even in the ground somewhere. I'll just pot them on, just keep myself 3 of them. So I've got quite a few leftover plants which I can give to friends, family and whatnot. You know, and any newcomers down at the allotment, I'll keep them for a few weeks. I'll just give them a feed. I say, because they're not pot bound in small pots, but it just means I can give them a little bit more space, so they're not going to tangle up with each other and get leggy. That's like the idea of this. It kind of gives them a bit of spread, so they can get that canopy up, you know, and get a little trunk going on them, so they can get sturdy. So I just need to water these now. So I'm going to give them a water from top. Some of the inner pots are still quite wet, so I just need to be careful I don't rot them off. But it's warm in here today, so they'll probably they'll dry out a little bit. You know, some of them are sulking a bit, but 99 times out of 100 they'll perk up, you know, in a day or so. Sometimes in a few hours. Once you get the fresh roots out into the new compost, and they'll start searching for liquid then. And then I'll top water them today, and then I'll just be bottom watering, just to encourage them roots to get down to the bottom. And then as soon as I can see a cluster of roots down the bottom, it's time to put them in the final pots. And then when I see the roots in the bottom of that, they go in the raised beds. Right, I think I'll bring this video to an end now, and we'll follow on in the next video. There's jobs to do as and when I can do them, weather permitting. So what will be in the next video, I'm not too sure. Could be maybe, it depends. If we don't have any dry spell, I'll be potting these on again and potting other things on to give me time, or it could even be planting down an allotment. But and there's obviously sowing the frost tender stuff, which is any time now. This next sort of week I'll be sowing the beans, sweet corn, some radish, and some second runs of lettuce and that, the little gems, cucumbers, courgettes, all them. It's getting time, because the temperature is there. You know, the nighttime temperatures are, you know, getting a little bit colder now and then, but just keep your eye on the temperature. But there's no rush. You know, you've still got like a good few weeks for you have to do anything like that. But for me, it was basically, you know, get these in here. I need those brassicas out of the way down the plot. Same with the onions. Everything needs to come out of here now, well, as soon as possible. But in potting these on, it just gives me a little bit more time, because I've had a couple of days at it now, so I need to have a rest for a couple of days because I'm quite shattered. So because I don't want to burn myself out, and then knacking myself up for weeks end. But yep, so we'll see you in the next video, which will probably be in the next week or so anyway. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time. See you now, bye bye.